be represented today not by Ahmadinejad, but by you, the Democratic opposition. We're here today to take satisfaction in the great campaign that all of you have waged to make sure that the Democratic opposition in Iran has a voice politically. And today that voice is getting stronger thanks to the delisting of the MEK. Here today to once more commit ourselves to that process of making sure that there is a free Iran, a democratic Iran, and someday, instead of Ahmadinejad, we'll have President Maryam Rajavi speak to the UN.
If we're for regime change in Egypt and Libya and Syria, what about Iran? We should be for regime change in Iran. All of us working together have helped to lift and to get the MEK delisted. We praise Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for making this decision. We praise the elected officials, over 140 of them, who came out in favor of this even before she made the decision. We praise the 70 or 80 former officials who have stood with us, even under difficult circumstances. But most important, here's who we praise for this decision: the people in Camp Liberty and Camp Ashraf. And most of all, the person that we have to praise for this is Madam Maryam Rajavi. She's the president-elect of the National Council of Resistance in Iran. As the people of America get to know Madam Rajavi, they're going to get to see a totally different path for the Middle East. How about a government in the Middle East that is headed by a woman? It is my great honor to present to you the President-elect, Madam Rajavi. Iran, Maryam, Maryam, Iran, Iran, Maryam, Maryam, Iran. Iran, Maryam, Maryam, Iran.
همچنان که شهردار جولیانی اعلام کرد، وزیر کلینتون در یک اقدام شجاعانه تصمیم خود رو برای لغو نامگذاری مجاهدین به کنگره اطلاع داد. این یک تصمیم درست است که مانع جدی مردم و مقاومت ایران برای دموکراسی را کنار می‌زند. اگرچه مدت‌ها قبل باید این کار صورت می‌گرفت، ولی ما از این تصمیم استقبال می‌کنیم و امیدواریم منجر به یک سیاست جدید در قبال رژیم ملا شود. اما ما اکنون به آینده می‌نگریم، به ایران بدون سرکوب و به ایران آزاد. زمان آن رسیده است که جهان چهره واقعی مقاومت ایران برای آزادی را در پس اتهامات دروغین مشاهده کند. آخوندها و لابی‌های آنها در آمریکا از هیچ تلاشی برای حفظ این برچسب ناعادلانه کوتاهی نکردند. برای بقای خود ملاها بزرگترین شیطانسازی را علیه مقاومت ایران به راه انداختند. شما را به خاطر پایداری و سرخم نکردن در مقابل فاشیسم دینی به انواع اتهامات از جمله فرقه متهم کردند و می‌کنند. عجب فرقه‌ای! مجاهدان آزادی را به خاطر فداکاری در راه آزادی مردم ایران مورد شماتت قرار می‌دهند. این بیان شرمگینانه فراخوان به تسلیم در مقابل مله هاست. ما تا تغییر رژیم و برقراری دموکراسی در ایران متوقف نخواهیم شد. هرگز هرگز هرگز. مبارزه و کارزار خود را گسترش دهید. کارزار برای دفاع از حقوق ساکنان اشرف و لیبرتی و مبارزه و مقاومت 100 برابر برای آزادی ایران اسیر و همچنین مبارزه برای برقراری دموکراسی و حاکمیت مردم.
The delisting is only the first part of the journey. And so let me leave you with a couple of other challenges and a couple other outposts in order to get to the ultimate goal of this journey, and that's a free, open, democrat Iran. We're here outside the United Nations, and I think it's appropriate to call upon the Secretary General of the United Nations to take a look at Camp Liberty and change the designation from a temporary location to a refugee camp. So we say to the United Nations Secretary General, Camp Liberty must be designated as a refugee camp. It must be afforded that international legal status. Ahmadinejad, look around. Listen to the Iranian people. They want to run, they want to operate the government, they want to be free. The Democrat resistance, the MEK, and all other opposition groups for decades and decades have looked for one thing. They haven't looked for military assistance. They haven't looked for money. They search, they desire freedom. Freedom.
Where else can you get Newt Gingrich, Tom Ridge, John Bolton, Rudy Giuliani on the Republican side, and Bill Richardson, Patrick Kennedy, and Carolyn Maloney together? You know why we're together? Because we're for democracy in Iran. Because we're for the MEK. We are together because we support change in Iran. Something very good happened last week. I want to openly thank the Iranian opposition for leading the charge to delist the MEK last week. That was a major step forward. And I want to say this, because we are bipartisan. I want to thank President Obama and Secretary Clinton and the State Department for delisting the MEK. They made the right decision. It was based on facts. It's a full-fledged democracy movement. I also want to say that among the supporters and the organizers, the Iranian-Americans that are here, this is a viable, important opposition movement.
We are here today joining Iranian-American leaders in support of democracy around the world and democracy in Iran. I am honored to join distinguished leaders past and present, government officials like the great Governor Richardson and former Congressman, the great Mayor Giuliani, the great Congressman Kennedy, and the former Speaker, Mr. Gingrich, a bipartisan effort for democracy in Iran. And once again, leaders of goodwill will be joining in a bipartisan show of unity to denounce the presence of Iran's President Ahmadinejad at the United Nations.
In the late 1990s, the MEK was put on that list in an effort to appease the mullahs in Tehran. The evidence then was as absent as it is today, so that the list of foreign terrorist organizations was used back then for an overtly political purpose, corrupting the very idea of why we have statutory requirements for the list. I have long believed that it should be the declared policy of the government of the United States that we seek regime change in Tehran, and we support any legitimate group that seeks that objective as well. We can say now that with the terrorist designation listing, there is no reason that the MEK can't move to the forefront of the opposition.
Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
As you can tell from this gathering, you have a very bipartisan base of support. As an American, I am very bothered by a State Department which managed for a period of 15 years to portray a falsehood. The only reason the MEK was ever listed was to appease the dictatorship. All of you should be dedicated now that you have won this victory to finding a way to carry the case to the news media, to every member of Congress, to the public, that the time has come to recognize that we will never be safe as long as the current dictatorship is in charge, and the only answer is not sanctions, it is not negotiations, it's not deals. The only answer is an all-out effort to bring to bear political, economic, information, and other pressure to replace the dictatorship so that the people of Iran can have a free country and have the opportunity of freedom.
Thank you for showing your solidarity together as one people with one cause, looking to topple two regimes who have intertwined together, where toppling the Syrian regime or the Assad regime means toppling the Mullah regime of Iran.
I invite you all to a free Syria soon for a beautiful concert in Homs, in Damascus, and hopefully in Tehran.
أن تنادوا بأعلى صوتكم من أجل طرد السفراء والبعثات الدبلوماسية لنظام بشار الأسد ونظام أحمدينجاد من الأمم المتحدة، تلك المنظمة الدولية